Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of TPG Opinions. I'm Clint Henderson, and this is Critiques by Clint. You may have heard rumblings about the Credit Card Competition Act of 2022. If this legislation passes, it could dramatically change the rewards ecosystem, affecting your ability to collect and redeem points and miles toward travel or earn cash back that can offset some of your everyday spending. And while it has raised concerns from those in the credit card industry, along with airlines, hotel chains, and of course frequent travelers, the bill initially seemed like it might have had to face too many obstacles to actually become a law. Until this week, that is. On October 3rd, Senators Dick Durbin and Roger Marshall added the legislation as an amendment to a defense spending bill, saying it can help vets and members of the armed forces, which feels slightly more than a little bit disingenuous to me. So let's break down exactly what this legislation does and does not do for consumers. Senators Durbin and Marshall claim to want to inject more competition into the credit card industry in the hopes of lowering fees merchants pay whenever shoppers swipe their credit cards. So the idea is that these fees are currently being passed on to consumers and that without them, merchants will lower the cost of their goods in order to compensate. At least that's the crux of their argument. However, this act is largely a replica of a similarly introduced amendment to the dodd-frank financial reform package way back in 2010. Conveniently called the Durbin Amendment, this established fixed fees as opposed to a percentage of the total transaction on debit card transaction processing. The claim at the time was that with lower transaction fees, the prices of goods would drop as well. But did they? No, they did not. 10 years later, after some 50 billion transactions every single year, major articles and studies have found the Durbin Amendment actually harmed consumers. A 2015 economic survey from the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond found that just 1.2% of merchants lowered their prices as a result of the Durbin Amendment, while more than 1 in 5 actually raised prices. It effectively gifted a massive windfall to mega retailers. I will personally never forget when the Durbin Amendment passed. It didn't take long before my United Airlines debit card went poof. No more earning miles for every transaction on my debit card. In fact, using debit cards for transactions no longer made sense. I would be heartbroken if that became the future for credit cards too. A 2014 study by George Mason University found the Durbin Amendment resulted in reduced access to banking services for 1 million people, as small-town banks and credit unions who couldn't absorb the costs were forced to raise fees in other areas, like checking account fees, minimum balance requirements, etc., just in order to survive. The study notes that these passed-on costs are, quote, disproportionately borne by low-income consumers, end quote. And there's more. Before the amendment's price controls, payment networks were able to negotiate lower interchange rates with mom and pop shops. Post-Durbin Amendment, not so much. George Mason University estimated the Durbin Amendment transfers, quote, 1 billion to 3 billion annually from low-income households to large retailers and their shareholders, unquote. And of course, it eliminated all debit card rewards programs across America, which brings me all the way back to 2022. Here at The Points Guy, we teach you to maximize your rewards so that you can earn as much as 3 points per dollar when dining out, 4 points per dollar on groceries, and 5 points per dollar when booking airfare. Leveraging these rewards and the perks on popular credit cards means the ability to travel more frequently or in greater comfort and to discover the world. It can also mean more cash in your pocket, a better airport experience, and the benefits of purchase protections that don't exist with other payment methods. With the passage of this legislation, that could all change. Not only is it highly likely that the price of goods won't reduce in any significant way, you, me, every single one of us could lose all the fun perks we've come to love about using credit cards. In fact, if history is any guide, this bill could have a massive impact on the rewards ecosystem, including those associated with banks and popular airline and hotel programs that rely on their co-branded card partners as a key source of revenue. Those swipe fees are how they pay for these programs, and it's unclear that introducing cheaper options to merchants will actually lead to lower prices. Given what we saw with debit cards, my guess is that a good portion of that windfall will be pocketed. So yeah, it's unsurprising to me that 1,700 merchants, including Target and Walmart, sent a letter to Congress on September 14th in support of the bill. Brett Buckner is managing director at 1mn.org. That's a public advocacy group focused on racial, social, and economic equity. He warned, quote, marginalized communities will pay the price when credit card companies attempt to protect their bottom lines. Bank issuing credit cards will now begin raising interest rates, fees, and credit standards in order to save money and restrict access to those deemed a credit risk, unquote. And while at face value, the idea of excessive swipe fees might seem like something worth legislating against, what the bill doesn't mention is that as a percentage of transaction volume, merchants have actually seen lower fees in recent years. When you compare Nielsen Reports data from 2019, 2020, and 2021, this rate has actually dropped from 2.19% in 2019 all the way down to 2.166% in 2021. That's across all transactions processed on credit cards and private label cards. Those are cards tied to a specific retailer and not usable at other merchants. As a company founded in part on the principle of using credit card rewards programs to help save money on travel, TPG is among the many organizations with a vested interest in this cause. While we do partner with major credit card issuers, our staff members and millions of our readers have seen firsthand how rewards programs can unlock travel that otherwise would not be possible. By making travel more accessible, we help our audience broaden their horizons, open their minds, and experience different cultures, all of which would be in jeopardy with this bill's passage. For more episodes of TPG Opinions, be sure to subscribe to The Points Guy. I'm Clint Henderson for Critiques by Clint. We'll see you next time.